The chamber of the Galactic Council was abuzz with activity, a cacophony of voices in 100 different alien languages. Representatives of countless star systems debated, bickered, and schemed beneath the luminous dome that overlooked the sprawling capital city of the Orion cluster. The tension was palpable. A human envoy had been summoned to answer for Earth's alleged breach of the Concord of Dominion, a sacred treaty prohibiting weapons of mass destruction among member civilizations. Earth had been a fledgling member of the Council, regarded with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Humans were seen as resourceful but reckless, their technological advancements a testament to their ingenuity, yet their history marred by unrelenting violence. Now, they were accused of constructing a superweapon capable of annihilating entire fleets. The Council had demanded answers, but humanity's silence had only fueled suspicion. High Chancellor Draythic, a towering, crystalline being whose refracted light painted the walls in shimmering rainbows, called for order. His voice, amplified through the neural resonance amplifiers, silenced the room. "This council convenes to deliberate the fate of humanity," he intoned, his crystalline form vibrating with authority. "Their defiance threatens the fragile peace we have maintained for millennia. We must act decisively." Before anyone could respond, the chamber's holographic projector flared to life. A message, encoded in the binary language of Earth, interrupted the Council's deliberations. The projection formed a simple yet chilling message: "Do not interfere." The room erupted in chaos. Council members speculated wildly, their voices a mix of fear and outrage. Some dismissed it as a bluff, a desperate attempt by humans to stall for time. Others weren't so sure. "Enough!" Draythic boomed, his voice cutting through the noise. "Let them try their intimidation tactics. The Council fleet is already en route to Earth. They will be brought to heel." But even as he spoke, a wave of unease rippled through the chamber. Far above the capital city, hidden among the orbital defense stations, a lone object drifted into the system. It was unlike anything they had seen before, sleek, obsidian black, and devoid of any discernible insignia. It was a battleship. Captain Alyssa Kane stood on the bridge of the NSS Nemesis, her expression calm but her mind sharp. She knew the stakes better than anyone. Humanity's survival depended on her mission. The Nemesis wasn't just a battleship, it was Earth's ultimate deterrent, a ship so advanced it bordered on the mythic. "Status report," Alyssa commanded, her voice cutting through the tense atmosphere of the bridge. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Ramesh, glanced at his console. "We're holding steady in the outer system. Council fleet has mobilized, 35 warships inbound. ETA, 20 minutes. Alyssa's jaw tightened. "They are not here to negotiate." "No," Ramesh confirmed grimly. "But they don't know what they're walking into." The Nemesis was a marvel of human ingenuity. Cloaked in adaptive stealth technology, armed with an arsenal of next-generation weaponry, and powered by a singularity core that gave it near-limitless energy, it was a force of nature. But its most dangerous weapon wasn't its firepower, it was its ability to disrupt. The ship's primary directive was simple: end conflicts before they began, using any means necessary. "Open a channel," Alyssa ordered. The holographic projector on the bridge activated, displaying the faces of the Council fleet's admirals. They were a mix of species, each more alien than the last, scaled, furred, crystalline, and amorphous. At the center was Fleet Admiral Tisha, a reptilian warrior whose battle-hardened visage betrayed his disdain for humanity. "Human vessel," Tisha hissed, his voice a low growl. "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender immediately, and you may yet plead your case before the Council." Alyssa smirked. "Admiral Tisha, I'd advise you to turn back. This isn't a fight you can win." Tisha's scales flared in anger. "You dare threaten the Council fleet?" "This isn't a threat," Alyssa said, her tone icy. "It's a warning." The channel cut, leaving the bridge in silence. Alyssa turned to her crew. "Activate the distortion array. Let's remind them who they are dealing with." The Council fleet advanced, their ships forming a phalanx that blotted out the stars. They moved with precision, their shields shimmering as they prepared for battle. But as they drew closer to the Nemesis, their systems began to falter. Admiral Tisha's flagship, the Dominion Spear, experienced the first signs of disruption. Navigation systems flickered, targeting arrays misaligned, and crew members reported strange auditory hallucinations, a low, droning hum that seemed to emanate from the void itself. "What's happening?" Tisha demanded, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. "Unknown interference," his science officer replied, panic creeping into her voice. "It's coming from the human ship." The distortion array was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. By manipulating gravitational waves and electromagnetic fields, it created a zone of chaos around the Nemesis. Enemy ships found their sensors scrambled, their communications garbled, and their movements erratic. It was a weapon of confusion, designed to dismantle fleets without firing a single shot. As the Council fleet struggled to adapt, the Nemesis moved with calculated precision. It slipped through their ranks like a ghost, its cloaking technology rendering it nearly invisible. When it did appear, it was only to deliver precise, incapacitating strikes. One by one, Council ships were disabled, their engines fried or their weapons neutralized. On the bridge of the Dominion Spear, Tisha seethed. "This is impossible. No single ship can take on the entire fleet." But it wasn't just the ship. It was the crew, their training, their ingenuity, their willingness to defy the odds. And at the helm of it all was Alyssa Kane, a captain who had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. "Admiral," one of Tisha's officers called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the human ship." "Put it through," Tisha growled. Alyssa's face appeared on the viewscreen, her expression calm but her eyes steely. "Admiral Tisha, your fleet is defeated. Retreat now, or I won't be so merciful." Tisha's pride burned, but he couldn't ignore the reality of the situation. Half his fleet was incapacitated, and the other half was on the verge of collapse. Reluctantly, he gave the order to withdraw. The Council fleet limped back toward the capital, their defeat a bitter pill to swallow. Alyssa watched them go, her heart heavy. This was a victory, but it was only the beginning. The Galactic Council would never forgive this humiliation. Humanity had just painted a target on its back. "Set course for the Council capital," Alyssa ordered. "It's time to finish this." The Nemesis emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Orion cluster, its sleek, obsidian hull absorbing the light of a nearby nebula. In the distance, the Galactic Council capital loomed, a massive, ringed planet with an artificial lattice of orbiting stations and energy shields that shimmered like a second atmosphere. It was the most fortified location in the galaxy, home to the Council's ruling elite and the nerve center of its vast military. Alyssa Kane stood at the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. The sight of the capital stirred a mix of awe and resolve in her chest. This was it. The heart of the Galactic Council's power. The place where humanity's fate would be decided. "Status?" Alyssa asked, her voice steady. Lieutenant Ramesh leaned over his console. "The Council capital is on high alert. Orbital defense platforms are locking onto us, and their fleet has regrouped just beyond the planetary shields. They are ready for us, Captain." Alyssa smiled grimly. "Let's give them something to remember." The Nemesis engaged its distortion array, sending ripples of chaos through the Council's defensive grid. Orbital platforms malfunctioned, their targeting systems spinning wildly out of control. A rain of plasma beams fired into empty space, while missiles detonated prematurely. But the Council wasn't unprepared. From the lattice of stations surrounding the planet, dozens of drones activated, their sleek, insect-like forms swarming toward the Nemesis. "Drones incoming," Ramesh called out. "Deploy countermeasures," Alyssa ordered. The Nemesis unleashed a cloud of microsatellites, each equipped with advanced jamming systems and high-velocity railguns. The drones were fast and numerous, but they were no match for the precision of the human-designed countermeasures. One by one, they exploded into fiery bursts of debris. As the drones fell, the Nemesis advanced toward the planet's shield perimeter. The distortion array had disrupted the orbital platforms, but the planetary shield remained intact, a shimmering dome of energy that repelled anything attempting to penetrate it. "Ramesh, analysis on the shield," Alyssa said. Ramesh's fingers danced across his console. "It's powered by a network of core generators on the surface. Each one is heavily guarded, but if we can take out even one, it'll destabilize the entire shield matrix. Alyssa nodded. We don't have time for subtlety. Prepare the orbital strike cannons. The Nemesis's hull panels shifted, revealing two massive cannons that glowed with an ominous blue light. They were powered by the ship's singularity core, capable of delivering strikes with pinpoint accuracy across vast distances. Target the primary generator, Alyssa commanded. The cannons roared, their energy beams slicing through space and slamming into the planet's surface. The shield flared as the generator absorbed the impact, its energy field rippling violently. Direct hit, but it's holding, Ramesh reported. Charge for another strike, Alyssa ordered, her jaw tightening. But before the cannons could fire again, a massive energy surge erupted from the planet. The Council had activated their planetary defense grid, a network of beam cannons capable of targeting orbital threats. Incoming fire! Ramesh shouted. Alyssa barely had time to react. Evasive maneuvers. Full power to shields. The Nemesis veered sharply as beams of concentrated energy streaked toward it. The ship's shields flared under the onslaught, absorbing the brunt of the attack but straining under the intensity. Shields at 60%. Ramesh reported. Alyssa gritted her teeth. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but retreat wasn't an option. Humanity's survival hinged on their success. Divert power from the cloaking array to shields, she ordered. And prepare the Trinity Protocol. The bridge fell silent. The Trinity Protocol was the Nemesis's last resort, a maneuver so dangerous it was considered suicidal. But Alyssa knew it was their only chance. Captain, are you sure? Ramesh asked, his voice laced with apprehension. I'm sure, Alyssa said firmly. This ends now. The Nemesis surged toward the planetary shield, its engines burning at maximum thrust. The distortion array created a ripple of chaos in its wake, confusing the orbital platforms and disrupting the Council fleet's pursuit. As the ship neared the shield, it unleashed a concentrated burst of energy from its singularity core. The shield flared brilliantly, its energy matrix destabilizing under the strain. Shields are weakening, Ramesh reported. Prepare for Phase 2, Alyssa said. The Nemesis launched a series of drones, each carrying a miniature version of its distortion array. The drones penetrated the weakened shield and descended toward the surface, targeting the remaining generators. On the planet below, chaos erupted as the drones attacked. Explosions lit up the sky as generators were destroyed one by one. The planetary shield flickered and finally collapsed, leaving the capital vulnerable. Shield is down, Ramesh exclaimed. Engage the Council fleet, Alyssa commanded. The Nemesis turned its attention to the fleet surrounding the planet. Using its advanced weaponry and distortion technology, it disabled ships with surgical precision, neutralizing their threat without unnecessary destruction. Admiral Tisha, commanding the fleet from his flagship, watched in disbelief as the Nemesis dismantled his forces. How is this possible? Tisha muttered. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Alyssa's eyes were steely with determination. Broadcast this message to the Council, she ordered. A holographic image of Alyssa appeared in the Council chamber, her voice calm yet commanding. This is Captain Alyssa Kane of the NSS Nemesis. Humanity will no longer be subjugated or underestimated. Withdraw your forces, or we will escalate further. The Council chamber erupted in outrage, but Alyssa's message was clear. Humanity had drawn a line, and the Nemesis was the blade enforcing it. As the Council deliberated, the Nemesis hovered in orbit, a silent guardian. The battle wasn't over, but humanity had made its stand. The galaxy would never be the same. The Nemesis hung in orbit like a vengeful god, its weapons silenced but ready. Below, the sprawling surface of the Council's capital planet shimmered with chaos. Fires dotted the horizon where the shield generators had exploded, casting plumes of smoke into the upper atmosphere. The Galactic Council, for the first time in centuries, was no longer untouchable. Inside the Council chambers, panic reigned. Alien diplomats from across the galaxy shouted over one another, their languages overlapping in a cacophony of fear and anger. Above them, a hologram of Captain Alyssa Kane's defiant image flickered like an uninvited specter, her words echoing through the grand hall. This is Captain Alyssa Kane of the NSS Nemesis. Humanity will no longer be subjugated or underestimated. Withdraw your forces, or we will escalate further. Elder Gyrek, an aged and towering insectoid, slammed his staff against the floor, silencing the room. His compound eyes glinted with fury as he turned to Admiral Tisha, whose holographic projection stood in the center of the chamber. How is one ship doing this? Gyrek hissed, his voice a low vibration that carried menace. You assured us the fleet was impenetrable. Tisha, a hulking reptilian with crimson scales, bowed his head. The Nemesis is unlike any vessel we've faced. Its technology outpaces ours in every way, its weapons, its defenses, even its ability to manipulate our systems. It is human ingenuity manifest. The room fell into a tense silence. No species among the Council had ever credited humans with such capability. To them, humanity was a rogue experiment gone awry, a species of unpredictable barbarians better contained than confronted. Elder Gyrek's mandibles twitched. Then destroy them. Whatever it takes, Tisha. Humanity must be reminded of its place. Back aboard the Nemesis, Alyssa Kane paced the bridge, her mind racing. The Council's delay in responding was a clear sign that they were plotting something. It was only a matter of time before they unleashed their full fury. Captain, incoming transmission, Lieutenant Ramesh announced. On screen, Alyssa ordered, spinning on her heel to face the main console. The holographic image of Admiral Tisha appeared, his slitted eyes narrowing as he studied Alyssa. Captain Kane, he rumbled, his voice thick with disdain. You've made your point. But you must realize this can only end one way, with the destruction of your ship and the annihilation of your people. Alyssa's lips curved into a cold smile. Funny, Admiral. I was about to say the same thing. Tisha's eyes flared with anger. You underestimate the Council's reach. Even as we speak, reinforcements are mobilizing. You may have bested my fleet, but you cannot stand against the full might of the galaxy. Perhaps, Alyssa said, her tone sharp. But do you really want to test that theory? You've seen what the Nemesis can do. Do you truly believe reinforcements will change anything? Tisha hesitated, and Alyssa pressed her advantage. You're afraid, Admiral. Not just of me, but of what humanity represents. You've suppressed us for centuries because you fear what we might become. And now, you're seeing it firsthand. The line went dead, and Alyssa turned back to her crew. Prepare for retaliation, she said. They'll be coming with everything they've got. The Council's retaliation was swift and overwhelming. Within hours, hyperspace signatures filled the sector as fleets from across the galaxy converged on the capital. Colossal warships bristling with weaponry surrounded the Nemesis, their sheer numbers blotting out the stars. On the bridge, Ramesh's face was pale as he analyzed the incoming data. Captain, we're looking at over 100 capital ships, supported by thousands of fighter squadrons. They've even deployed planet-killer weapons. Alyssa's heart pounded, but her voice remained calm. Good. Let them come. The Nemesis activated its full arsenal. Automated railguns whirred to life, firing projectiles at hypersonic speeds. Missile pods launched salvos of smart explosives, weaving through enemy formations with deadly precision. The Singularity Core pulsed with energy, powering the ship's distortion array to wreak havoc on the enemy fleet's targeting systems. The first wave of attackers fell quickly. Fighters disintegrated in fiery explosions, and smaller frigates were torn apart by railgun fire. But the larger warships pressed on, their massive energy cannons unleashing a relentless barrage. Shields at 40%. Ramesh called out as the ship shook under the assault. Divert all non-essential power to shields and weapons, Alyssa ordered. We're not here to run. The Nemesis retaliated with devastating force. Using the Trinity Protocol, it split its Singularity Core's output into 3 concentrated energy beams, targeting the largest enemy ships. The beams cut through their hulls like molten knives, leaving the colossal vessels to drift lifelessly in the void. But the Council fleet's numbers were unrelenting. As soon as one wave was destroyed, another took its place. For every ship the Nemesis eliminated, more seemed to appear. Captain, we can't keep this up, Ramesh said, his voice strained. Alyssa's mind raced. The Council was throwing everything at them, but she knew that fleet couldn't sustain this level of intensity indefinitely. If they could survive just long enough. Ramesh, locate that command ship, she said. If we can take out their leader, it might buy us the time we need. Ramesh worked quickly, his hands flying over the console. Found it. The Indomitable. Admiral Tisha's flagship. It's positioned at the rear of the fleet, heavily guarded. Alyssa's eyes narrowed. Not for long. Helm, set course for the Indomitable. Full speed. The Nemesis surged forward, cutting a path through the enemy fleet like a blade. Explosions erupted around them as the ship unleashed its full firepower, its railguns and missiles tearing through anything in its path. The Council ships scrambled to intercept, but the Nemesis was too fast, too agile. It weaved through the chaos with precision, its shields holding just long enough to reach its target. The Indomitable loomed ahead, its massive form bristling with weaponry. Alyssa knew this would be their most dangerous encounter yet. Target their main reactor, she commanded. One shot is all we'll get. The Nemesis's cannons charged, their energy building to a blinding crescendo. Fire! Alyssa shouted. The energy beam struck the Indomitable square in its reactor core. For a moment, there was silence, a stillness that seemed to stretch across the void. Then, the flagship exploded in a cataclysmic burst of light and debris. The shockwave rippled through the Council fleet, throwing ships off course and disrupting their formations. Alyssa took a deep breath, her grip on the railing tightening. Broadcast to the fleet, she said. Ramesh nodded, activating the ship's comms. This is Captain Alyssa Kane of the Nemesis, Alyssa said, her voice steady. Your flagship is gone. Your leader is dead. Withdraw now, or face annihilation. The response was immediate. The Council ships hesitated, their coordinated assault faltering. One by one, they began to retreat, their captains unwilling to face the wrath of the Nemesis. As the enemy fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Alyssa allowed herself a moment of relief. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. Status report, she said, turning to Ramesh. Minimal damage to critical systems, he replied. But we're running low on ammunition and energy reserves. Alyssa nodded. We'll need to regroup and rearm. But for now, we've made our mark. The Nemesis drifted in the quiet void, a single ship against the galaxy. But it was enough. Humanity had proven that it would not bow. The Council had been silenced, if only for a moment, and the galaxy would never forget the day one human battleship changed everything. The quiet after the battle was an eerie contrast to the chaos that had erupted just hours earlier. The Nemesis floated in the wreckage-strewn void, its dark hull scarred but unbroken. Alyssa Kane stood on the bridge, her eyes locked on the stars ahead, her mind racing with the implications of their victory. The Galactic Council's retreat was unprecedented, a humiliation that would echo through the galaxy, but it was far from the end. Captain, incoming transmission, Lieutenant Ramesh announced, his voice tight with apprehension. It's from Earth Command. Alyssa braced herself. She knew this call would come eventually. The consequences of her actions couldn't be ignored, even by her own people. Put it through, she said. The hologram flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of Admiral Harker, the head of Earth Command. His uniform was pristine, his gray eyes cold as they regarded Alyssa with a mix of anger and grudging respect. Captain Kane, Harker began, his tone clipped. Congratulations on your victory. Alyssa straightened, her expression unyielding. Admiral, with respect, it wasn't just a victory. It was a message. Humanity won't be pushed aside any longer. Harker's jaw tightened. And in delivering that message, you've painted a target on all of us. The Council won't forget this. They'll regroup, and when they return, it won't be with the intention of negotiating. They won't get the chance, Alyssa countered. The Nemesis is proof that we can stand against them. Humanity has spent centuries being underestimated, exploited. That ends now. Harker leaned closer to the hologram, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. You've put billions of lives at risk. Do you understand that? The Council's wrath won't stop with you or your ship. It will extend to every human colony, every outpost. You've made us a priority target. Alyssa's hands curled into fists at her sides. So, what would you have us do, Admiral? Bow down? Accept their oppression? If that's your idea of leadership, then maybe you're in the wrong position. The silence that followed was suffocating. Finally, Harker sighed, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. Your defiance has set events in motion that can't be undone, he said. Earth Command is recalling the Nemesis. You'll return immediately to face an inquiry. Alyssa's jaw tightened. She knew this was coming, but she had no intention of being paraded as a scapegoat. With respect, Admiral, she said coldly, the Nemesis isn't coming back. Not yet. We still have work to do. Harker's eyes narrowed. Kane, if you go rogue. The transmission cut off before he could finish. Alyssa turned to Ramesh, who nodded grimly. We're officially on our own, he said. Good, Alyssa replied, her voice resolute. Earth Command can play politics. We'll do what needs to be done. As the Nemesis prepared to leave the sector, the crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage from the battle. Supplies were scarce, and tensions were high, but Alyssa's unyielding determination kept them focused. Captain, we've intercepted a transmission, Ramesh reported one evening. It's a distress signal, from Earth. Alyssa's heart sank. Put it through. The audio crackled to life, and a panicked voice filled the bridge. This is Earth Defense Command. We are under attack by an unknown fleet, massive ships, unlike anything we've seen before. They are targeting major cities. Civilian casualties are catastrophic. We need immediate assistance. Alyssa's blood ran cold. She turned to the tactical display, where a real-time feed showed Earth's surface ablaze. The Council's retaliation had come sooner than she'd expected. Helm, set course for Earth, she ordered. Captain, we're barely holding together as it is, Ramesh said. If we jump now, we might not make it. We don't have a choice, Alyssa snapped. If Earth falls, humanity falls. Prepare for hyperspace jump. The crew moved with grim determination, knowing the odds were against them. The Nemesis's engines roared to life, and the ship surged into hyperspace, hurtling toward Earth at breakneck speed. When the Nemesis arrived, the sight that greeted them was apocalyptic. Massive alien warships hung over Earth like harbingers of doom, their weapons raining destruction on the planet below. The remnants of Earth's defense fleet fought valiantly, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Target the lead ship, Alyssa commanded, her voice like steel. We'll hit them where it hurts. The Nemesis charged into the fray, its weapons blazing. Railguns fired with deadly precision, punching through the alien ship's shields and tearing them apart. Missiles streaked through the void, detonating in brilliant bursts of light. But the alien fleet was relentless. Their ships were unlike anything the Nemesis had faced before, their technology seemingly designed to counter even the most advanced human weaponry. Shields at 20%. Ramesh called out as the ship shook violently. Divert all power to the weapons, Alyssa ordered. We take them down, or we die trying. The Nemesis launched a final, desperate assault. Its singularity core roared to life, unleashing a massive energy pulse that tore through the alien fleet. Ships disintegrated in the blast, their debris scattering like ashes in the wind. But the strain on the Nemesis was too much. The ship's systems began to fail, sparks flying from consoles as the bridge filled with smoke. Captain, we're losing power, Ramesh shouted. Alyssa gritted her teeth, her mind racing. They'd stopped the immediate threat, but at a terrible cost. The Nemesis was crippled, and Earth lay in ruins. She turned to her crew, her voice firm despite the chaos around them. We've done all we can here. Now, we regroup. Humanity isn't finished, not yet. As the Nemesis limped away from Earth, Alyssa felt the weight of their struggle pressing down on her. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. And in the shadows of the galaxy, the Council was already planning their next move.